Hey guys, what's up? It's Samantha, and I am back with another planner spread. This is going to once again just be the base of my personal planner. I'm using a kit from Scribble Prints Co. and washi from Simply Gilded, and I love the washi pairing for this kit, just perfection. This is probably going to be the last video that I do just the base. The next time you see a video from me, whenever that happens to be, it will be a full memory keeping spread with everything I did during the week. But I wanted to use this video to kind of do a part two of last week's, or not last week's, but the previous video that I did and talk about kind of how I've worked on myself and established systems and routines to give myself the mental space and also just like the actual time to re-engage with my hobbies again, because I feel like I was just a chaos monster for so long after I gave birth, and I really started focusing on what was going on, like what are the core issues here, and chipping away at those to eventually have the payoff of being able to spend more time on my hobbies. And I've definitely started to see the payoff in the last couple of months, and it's been really nice. So I kind of just wanted to walk through what I've done to work on prioritizing myself again. And it's definitely been a process. And it wasn't so much just about having the time. Joe would always give me, a few hours whenever I wanted. He'd say, I have James, like, go do whatever you're going to do. And then I would sit down to read, and my brain was just going a million miles an hour with all the stuff that I had forgotten, or, oh, I need to remember to do this. Oh, I need to write this down. Oh, I forgot to order the groceries. And then my time would just sort of disappear, or I'd say, oh, I'd really love to sit down and plan. I really miss doing that. And I'd walk into my office and it was such a disaster. I mean, it was really a dumping ground of just stuff. And I didn't even know where to start. I was so overwhelmed. And there was also sort of this mindset of, well, I want to relax. I want to have fun. I don't want to spend my 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday afternoon cleaning all this stuff up. I'm so overwhelmed. I can't handle this right now, which fair. Like, I was not in a place to handle some of this stuff. And I wanted to start by working on how to reduce my mental load and also how to reduce the sense of overwhelm I was feeling in a lot of spaces in my house. So I started with the mental load side of things towards the end of last year. Every time I thought of something that needed to be done routinely in my house, whether it was daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, anything from cleaning the dishwasher filter to changing my toothbrush to cleaning the bathroom, I the second I thought of it, I put it in my app and set a reminder for whatever time period needed to be done for that thing. And over a period of a couple months, I built a system in my reminders app to do almost all of the remembering for me. So I wouldn't have to think, oh crap, when was the last time I did a clean cycle on my washing machine? I just know that there's one day a month where that pops up in my reminders app, and that's the day that I throw the Afresh tab in and do a tub clean cycle in my washing machine, and I don't have to remember it anymore. And that process and kind of living with that structure and finally getting structure and routine back in my life gave me just a little bit more mental space to say, okay, I am starting to get some of the daily, weekly, monthly stuff under control. But now that I'm actually doing things routinely, I'm noticing a lot of friction points in my house and a lot of areas where clutter is building up. And this is something that hasn't really been an issue for me in the past. But I think a big thing for me why I struggled so much postpartum and why I had trouble getting my feet under me was we moved into this house and I immediately got pregnant. So there were a lot of big projects that we kind of knew we wanted to do, and a lot of decorating and furnishing that hadn't gotten done before I got pregnant because we were only in this house for a couple of months. And I also had never really lived normal life in this house, and I didn't have that sort of muscle memory for stuff in the house. Um, that I've had in other spaces I've lived in. So I started tackling a lot of the friction points. I improved organization and workflow in different areas so that I wasn't fighting myself trying to do stuff. And I also looked at some of the big projects that needed to be done. Obviously, I have time and money constraints. I can't do everything all at once, but I decided to prioritize the areas that I thought would improve my mental health the most and would free up the mental space for me to focus on what I wanted to focus on again. So I started with our basement, which I posted a lot of the steps of that journey of decluttering our basement, which had become a dumping ground for outgrown baby things and random crap from our old house, and decluttering that and furnishing and decorating it and making a really lovely, cozy play space for James and a place where I can do puzzles and eventually build some of the Lego sets that I've had sitting around for a couple of years because I haven't had time to build Lego, but I do think I will have time to build Lego this summer. So I'm very excited about that because I have the space to do it and I don't have to clean for 3 days before I can clear off a table to sit and build my Lego set. So, like that sort of thing, I realized I wasn't a big part of why I wasn't engaging in my hobbies is I had to clean and organize and declutter before I could even get to that point. So, like I said, prioritize those projects, got the basement under control. I went through my library, which the floor was just piles and piles of books that I had pre ordered while I was pregnant and in the early days of James's life when I was online pumping in the middle of the night, I would order books like crazy. And part of it was just owning up to the fact that I was never going to be able to go back and read everything I thought I'd be interested in reading, and that's okay. And so there were some books that I bought that I ended up donating to my local library. Actually donated quite a lot, but I also went through my Goodreads. I went through like everything to clear out books that I just know are not going to be a priority. I'm also reading differently. I'm not reading as much, but I'm also reading for myself as opposed to reading to recommend to other people. So my kind of priorities and what I want to pick up are very different now compared to when I was working in a public library. So I needed to adjust for that, and there's some stuff that I just don't want to read for myself, and that's okay. And just sort of creating that space to breathe again down in my library was really wonderful, and it didn't feel like I had this to-do list screaming at me anymore. And that was also, I think, something that was preventing me from really deeply engaging in books again was I felt like a lot of misplaced guilt or shame or a sense of wastefulness that I had bought books that I kind of was now realizing I was probably never going to read, and that had never been an issue for me before. I had never had so many unread books on my shelves before, and just all of that. There was a lot of negative emotion and energy tied up in that space. And I love my library. I love that room. I don't want to feel those feelings when I'm sitting in there reading a book. So clearing that up really, like, I physically felt so much lighter after going through that space and then going through my Goodreads and making sure every book that was on my shelves was also on my Goodreads TBR, and any book that I got rid of, I pulled off my Goodreads TBR, and just making that very organized and like everything was all at right angles with each other, all I's dotted, T's crossed, and that made me feel very good and like, okay, I like can relax a little in this space. That's good. And I tackled my office and I cleared that out, which I talked about in my last video. But I've also, as I've started tackling these bigger projects and feeling how much lighter I feel as I'm doing, a lot of times it's days and days and days of really hard work to get stuff out, to go get furniture, to pick out furniture, and to build furniture, and to rearrange things, and to sort through so much stuff, and all the donation runs and all the stuff that I've been doing. It was a lot of hard work to kind of finish these projects, but the payoff was so awesome. And I realized there were a lot of other areas, not just in my house, but things where I had let myself get comfortable and I needed to get uncomfortable to fix things that were really starting to negatively impact my life. So I've also been focusing on my own like health, and I had gained a lot of weight after I stopped pumping. I rapidly gained back basically all of the weight that I had lost while I was breastfeeding. And that was really awful. And I didn't have clothes that fit me. So I was in sweats all the time. And I hadn't gotten my hair cut in almost a year. And I had postpartum hair loss. And then after I weaned, I lost a lot of hair again. So my hair was really scraggly looking. I didn't feel confident. My skin broke out really badly while I was pregnant. And I was hoping after I had James that it would kind of clear up on its own. It didn't. I was hoping after I weaned, it would clear up on its own. It didn't. And I knew I needed to try something different with my skincare. I started using Differin, which I was so scared to do because I'd used tretinoin in the past and it made me purge so badly, which is like when you break out because all the stuff under the surface all comes to the surface really quickly when you start using like a retinoid product. But I was like, okay, this is gonna suck. I'm gonna break out really badly for a few weeks or a couple months, but then it'll get better. And I have to get uncomfortable in order to have better skin, like to see improvement in my skin. Because what I'm doing right now, I've been doing the same thing twice a day, every day for years. It's not helping. So I started using Differin and my skin has improved dramatically. The purge is almost over. But my skin texture, like I look in the mirror and I feel like I look like myself again. My skin was so bad for so long that I didn't want to look at myself. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to be seen by people, which sounds like really silly, but it was really, and it was painful. Like I would get painful cystic acne. I just didn't feel like comfortable and I wanted to hide. And I kind of knew that in order to do the things I wanted to do to reclaim a lot of aspects of myself, I needed to stop hiding. So I been working on my skin and that's improving. I went and got a haircut and I was like apologizing to my hairstylist who's done my hair since I was a teenager. I'm like, I didn't mean to go almost a year without getting my hair cut. I'm so sorry, but that feels good. And I've started losing some of the weight that I gained, and even just having lost, I think, like 7 pounds at this point. But I feel better. Like I'm being more mindful about what I'm eating. I'm eating more protein and fiber, which has made a huge difference in how I feel. I decided to prioritize buying clothes that fit me now instead of making myself live in the same three articles of clothing over and over and over again. I was like, you know what? I want to be able to go places with James and feel cute. I want to go out with Joe and feel cute. I want to even just like being in the house, if I have to answer the door to sign for a package, I don't want to feel like I'm living in like raggedy old stained t-shirts and PJ pants. I want to feel confident and I want to feel like an adult person again who gets dressed in the morning. And that's been really good for my mental health. And I feel a lot more confident. And when I feel confident, it's easier for me to go outside on a whim, to go for a walk with James, or go run an errand, or go to the zoo, or, whatever thing. Um, it's really made a big difference in my mental health and prioritizing that. I didn't do anything like crazy or fancy. I wasn't buying designer clothes. I bought some stuff from Old Navy, and a lot of it is, still has elastic waists, but it's cute linen shorts with an elastic waist instead of, you know, a pair of bike shorts that's half a size too small and I'm muffin topping out of them. One makes me feel a lot more confident and put together than the other. So, um that's that's also been really good, and I feel like all of this stuff has sort of snowballed. Like the more things I've done, the more energy I have to focus on myself, to prioritize myself, while obviously still taking care of my son. I'm still a stay-at-home mom. I'm with my son like all day, every day. Um, but I just feel so much lighter. So when I do have, I got very lucky. James is a very good sleeper, and he takes a nap for like 2.5 to 3 hours every afternoon. And instead of just sitting around feeling overwhelmed and staring at a wall, I basically have been able to come into my office and plan or, read a book or play a game. I started playing video games again. I haven't played a video game in 2 years. So that was really nice. It's been so nice to have my mental space back for myself instead of just every time I have a second just like staring into the void with 8,000 racing thoughts in my head of what did I forget? What did I forget? What did I forget? Oh, like you needed to do this. Like I can't believe you still haven't bought X for Y room. And oh, put that on, you need to put that on your to do list. Like that has quieted down so much. And it has just been absolutely incredible to feel like myself again. And I'm really excited to be making content again, even if it's only a few things a month. It fills my cup. Like at this point, it's not even about like, obviously, like I want other people to enjoy what I'm making, but I am looking forward to doing this again, and it's just for me. And it's been really good. So thank you guys so much for watching and for listening to me ramble about all of this. I appreciate all of you guys, and thank you for sticking around with my sporadic posts. This is my finished spread. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye, guys.